So, how do you know you're a baseball card or baseball card nerd? How do you know? I'll tell you how. So, I was going through some cards and I came across my Kellogg's collection. I love these cards. Special special cards dropped in the cereals that you got the cereal, you rip the box open, you reach down, you destroy the box, you get your card, and you don't eat the cereal. That's kind of the way it was in my house. However, it was only a few times in my house because my mom worked at Post. We weren't allowed to eat Kellogg's cereal. But at any rate, I used to trade with my friends to get these. These Kellogg's cards were a part of, obviously, the Kellogg Company that used to advertise on the television shows that I used to watch as a kid. And those shows were like The Danny Thomas Show, Beverly Hillbillies. There were a bunch more. And then they were in cartoons as well. So not only did the Kellogg Company advertise on the early TV shows, they were with cereal that was locally made in my neck of the woods. And I just became enthralled by the connection between all of those and the Kellogg Company in my hometown and baseball cards because, well, they bring me happiness. That's how you know you're a baseball card nerd. And you can make that connection over a long stretch of reality and you're only 10 years old. By the way, I think this is a 1980 card. Beautiful cards. I love these ones. Okay. Anyway, being a baseball card nerd really has a lot to do with watching TV. I didn't know there was a connection there until one day I was thinking about it, and I remember watching TV shows that had a baseball player in them, which was totally unrelated to the story for the most part, but they were in the show. And I'm going to give you an example in just a moment. Oh, and by the way, we got a new sponsor here on the show. I've just been on the channel for like, I don't know, a couple months, and I've already got a sponsor, so stick around and we'll talk to them.
Hey, baseball fan. Time for a little self-care and a few minutes of cardboard meditation. Welcome to the show that features some of baseball's oddest stories and the cardboard slabs that document them. Find peace and joy through baseball cards with your host, the big guy.
Okay, so I talked about how the baseball players being on the shows I was watching really threw me for a loop. And here's the reason why. I would watch a show, and it was all made up. And at 10 years and 9 years old, I knew it was made up. I know that wasn't real. But then they were taking real things that were in my orbit, like baseball and baseball players, and they were putting the two together. They were taking the fake and the real and putting them together. And it was blowing my little 10-year-old mind. I couldn't deal with that. Like, why are we doing this? I got over it after a while. And then I started looking for any time a baseball player appeared. And I remembered, I filed it in my mind. And that's the couple. We're going to do 3 stories today. And we're going to see if you remember any of those. Because a lot of the shows that we're going to talk about, I watched in reruns. They were on in the mid to late 60s. And I was watching these things in the late 60s, early 70s. And the first one that we're going to talk about is Gilligan's Island. Now, before we get too far into that, I need to ask you, did you learn anything from watching those early TV shows and movies on TV? Anything? Did you learn anything about life? Here's what I learned. That when you're in a plane and it's starting to crash or lose power, you need to tap the gauge. You got to tap the gauge to make the meter move, right? 3, 4, never more than 4 taps. If you're doing 5 taps, I knew you weren't a real pilot. So 4 taps on the gauge, you're going to land that plane. Another thing, quicksand. If I'm going to the bus stop to go to school and I get in some quicksand, don't move. Don't move around in the quicksand because that makes you sink faster. I knew quicksand was a big problem when I was a kid. It must have been everywhere because it was in all the TV shows. I never understood how to get out of the quicksand if you couldn't move. That never made sense to me. And the last thing that I learned, one of the many things that I learned, but the last we're going to talk about today, was every human being in the world, except me, I guess, takes their keys after they get done driving their car or truck and they put them in the sun visor. That's where the keys go. When you're done driving, the keys go in the sun visor. That's what I learned from TV. So When I tell you that I was a baseball card nerd, I searched out those facts and I searched out those baseball players because I was different than most kids. So back to Gilligan's Island. There was an episode called Top of the Totem Pole, I think. Yeah, something like that. Top of the Totem Pole, in which these headhunters come to the island, and the very top head on the totem pole looks like Gilligan. So they trap Gilligan and they put him in a big pot, and they go to, I guess, do what headhunters do best. And that's the actual plot of the movie. While I'm sitting there watching the TV show, and it's over with, and the credits are rolling, I see the credits roll up, and I see two names that I recognize in there. At age 10, I recognized them. It was Jim Lefevre and Al Ferrara. I got their baseball cards. I've got those. So I get under my bed, and I pull my shoebox out, and I'm thumbing through and there they are. There they are. I've got both of these guys. I was so amazed that these guys were on Gilligan's Island, the show I was watching. I went to my dad, and I said, Dad, look. And he goes, get out of my way. I'm watching TV. But I was enthralled. I was enthralled that I found these out, and these are my guys. I'm watching them. They were Dodgers, for crying out loud. I wasn't paying attention to them, but I knew they were baseball players. Here they are, right here. Okay, right here, this is the 1967 Topps Jim Lefevre, number 260, and his partner, his other fellow headhunter, the 1966 number 557, Al Ferrara. That's a high number, by the way. I love seeing high numbers. You just don't see them very often, and when you see them again, it's kind of like a treat. Now, the other guy that was in the TV show was named Pete Sotos. He was not a baseball player, and I always liken that Pete Sotos to the is it Roy Hilton or Tommy Hilton or something like that was on the Mike Schmidt and Ron Say rookie card. You got these two guys on there, and then you got some nobody. That's kind of like what this is. See, my head goes straight to baseball cards. Well, I just thought that was amazing. And then I saw this on a recent eBay auction. This is really cool. It's a customized card. I don't know exactly what it might be a part of, but it's neat, and it looks like it was graded, and I just thought that was the coolest thing. All right. In 1966, I was watching TV, again in reruns, because these were on when I was just like 6, 5, and I wouldn't have remembered any of this stuff. This stuff was on when I was watching in the early 70s. They had a Bewitched episode, which took place during the Halloween time. And Endora was having a big Halloween party. So she invited everybody over. And of course, Darren is freaking out because, well, that's what Darren did on the show. He freaked out all the time. But I look up when I'm watching this show, and Willie Mays is at the party. Willie Mays appeared at Endora's party, eating some hors d'oeuvres. And he looks over and he goes, hey, and Darren goes, what's he doing here? I just looked like he was eating hors d'oeuvres to me. Passed me a deviled egg and one of those little teeny weenies over there. That looked pretty good. But I was just amazed to see Willie Mays. And he looked great on that show. And I was just so amazed to see Willie Mays mixing it up with some witches and warlocks. I knew they weren't real, but it was really cool. Now, here's a 1966 card number 1, Willie Mays. This is one of the beautiful cards from the middle 60s. I just love this card. All right. Now, the next one was the one television show that whenever it came on, I watched it. I mean, sometimes you'd go on and want to go out and play, but if that was the episode, I must have watched it 5 or 6 times as a kid. And it was the one where Leo Durocher appears on the Munsters when he's trying to draft Herman Munster to play on his team. Now, Herman Munster was dressed up in his uniform, and he was hitting the ball 8 blocks. And he was throwing the ball at like 800 miles an hour. In fact, he was knocking over catchers. And Leo the Lip, and by the way, his name was Leo the Lip. If you already know, I'm just going to go to try to explain it to people that don't know. He had a big mouth. He cleared a lot of benches back when he was a manager, and he just didn't know when to be quiet. So anyway, Leo the Lip was representing, I can't remember if it was the Dodgers or not, but he was trying to get Herman Munster to play on his team. And he was kind of going to sneak around and get him with any means necessary. And that was the plot of that show, and of course he doesn't sign with them. But there's a part in the show where Herman is throwing the ball, and a catcher comes up and raises his hands up and goes, "No, no, yeah, this guy right here. That guy's name is Ken Hunt," and Ken was a real baseball player as well. But this is the connection to that show. Ken Hunt was also the stepfather to Butch Patrick, who played Eddie Munster on the show. So he got to be with his dad in the show, the Munster Show. I just thought that was the coolest thing. Anyway, Leo the Lip, didn't sign him, and that was it. But I remember seeing him, and I remember him as a manager. I never saw him as a player, but he was a player back in the 30s. And here's a 1934 Worldwide Gum number 69. This is a really, really cool card, as all the cards are from that set. Here's his manager card from 1968, number 321. And this is when he was a Cubs manager. Oh, and this, I found this. This is a customized card that I saw online, and I just thought it was hilarious because it looked real, because the cards that are of this, this card set, this is what they look like. They have that sepia tone and the bad photo sometimes, and I thought this was good, and I'm not going to lie. I want it. I want it for my collection. All right, that's our show, and listen, we have a sponsor, so let me introduce the world. Hey, big guy! Thanks for letting me be a part of Cardboard Meditation. It's me, the world. You know, I just love baseball. I do. I mean, I love it so much, I even lent my name to a couple of major baseball events. Ever heard of the World Series or the World Baseball Classic? Yeah, those are my contributions. Now, I was hoping you could contribute a little as well. Donate a little time and effort to recycle some of your baseball waste. You know, those old empty cases that the baseball card boxes came in, and even the boxes themselves, and even the excess cards, heaven forbid. Here's the problem. We need to recycle this stuff to keep me in good health. I'd appreciate it, and it's not so wasteful. I mean, baseball cards don't grow on trees, you know. Wait a minute. Well, you know what I mean. Recycle, man. It would mean the world to me. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. You see how much fun I had? Did you have any fun? I'll tell you right now, if you've had a bad day and things are just sour, start thumbing through your baseball cards. Or go buy some. You can get them just about anywhere now. So if you need some happiness in your life, just do a real quick infusion of baseball cards. Talk soon.
Cardboard Meditation helps set your mind right. Thank you for watching. Show us your appreciation by clicking the like and subscribe button. Ring the bell while you're at it so you'll know when we upload a new story.